Today, we're gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna change the oil on my Honda Pilot. So, let's get started. You can see right there that I have the wheels propped up on some ramps, and that is so that I can access the car underneath. I do have a little rolly bed there that I'm gonna use to go underneath the car. And I don't know if you can see it, but I've already got the oil pan under there and the wrench that I need. And so let's go take a look and we'll find the oil pan. Now this right here, hopefully you can see it, but this whole thing right here, this is where you hit your engine. This is the engine oil. It says right there, engine oil, and this little thing right here is the piece that we have to remove so that the oil can drain out into the pan that I have right here. And I don't know if you can see it, but that little orange thing, that's the oil filter. We'll have to change that too. So let me get this cranked open and then you can see the oil pour out. It's gonna be a gritty, dark, brown, icky color, and I'll show you later on what the new oil looks like. That there is all of the bad oil coming out of the oil pan. So one thing, definitely make sure that you let your engine cool off before you do this, because you can get burned by the oil. I'm used to it, so mine is still a little warm when I do dump it, but you kind of, if you don't want to get burned or you don't want to feel the warmth of the liquid, make sure that you let it cool off. But I'm gonna let this drain for a few minutes. You want to make sure that it all gets into the pan, and definitely don't lose your little nut there sitting right there. You want to make sure that, because sometimes it will fall into the drip pan, you want to make sure to pull it out before all of the oil goes in, and that way you don't have to go fishing for it later. But we're gonna let this drip out. It's gonna take a bit, and then we'll move over and get the oil filter, and then we will be able to put in the clean oil. Now that the oil is pretty much out of the oil pan, we're gonna go ahead and remove the oil filter, and then we'll be able to put in the new stuff. All we have to do for this is we just have to basically grab it, unscrew it, and it will also have some oil in there to drain. Alright, if you guys can see this little thing right here I'm pointing at, that's where the oil filter was. So we took the oil filter off, and you can see where the oil dripped. I'm sorry if you guys can hear any of the lawnmower noise, but the husband's cutting the grass. Anyway, there's the oil filter. It will also drain and add to the oil. Now it's time to clean up the underside and put in the new stuff. Alright, so it is time to put the oil plug back in. Once this is in, you can secure that the new oil is not just gonna leak out of your system. But this is basically what it looks like. It's a little nut and bolt, or excuse me, there's no nut, this is just the bolt, and then there's a washer to help kind of tighten it in there. And then this is the new filter. This is the one I got. The size that I have is a 7317. The other filter was an FD. This is a little like step up. And then this is the oil that I use. I make sure to double check your oil when you're doing an oil change, because OW20 is my type for my car, but it might not be your type for your car. So always check your owner's manual to make sure that you double check the oil that you needed. And there's also different types, because this is extended performance, but there's also one for high mileage and everything like that, so double check. So this is the new oil filter, same size as the next one. This is what it looks like. This is the part that's gonna screw onto the piece underneath, and we'll show you as we put it on. but this is the color of the new oil. It's kind of like a honey color, and I put some in this cap here because what you want to do, and this is typically what I do. Let me see if I can balance you here. You're going to be balanced right on my legs, but I don't know if you can see like the opening there. We're just gonna take and dab our finger into the oil, and we're just gonna go around the outer edge. That's to lubricate it so that when you go to put it back onto the car, it'll have a nice lubricated fit. See? I don't know if you can see it, but that's kind of like all shiny and everything. There you go, you can see a little bit better. So you basically just want to run your finger around the rubber piece there so that it stays nice and lubricated and you don't have to worry about it cracking or anything like that when you put the filter on. My dad taught me how to do it this way, so whenever I change my oil, I've always done it this way. So now that we have that done, let me clean my finger off here. And we will put this back in the filter spot. Alright, so now that we have the new filter, we're gonna go ahead and line it up, and we're just gonna slowly turn it until it catches, just like so. And then you just spin it until you can't spin it no more. Nice, tight. What I like to do is do my left hand because I'm left-handed, and then once I have it on there, I use my right hand to kind of tighten it just a little bit more until I can't turn it no more. And that's about it for that one. So now the oil filter is on, time to go up top and add in the rest of the oil. For this stage in the oil change, we now have to gather a funnel. If you have like a deep engine bay like I do, and then mine takes 5.5 quarts of oil. So here's a 5 quart, and then I will use half of the smaller bottle that we opened earlier to lubricate our filter. So let's go ahead and put everything up here. We're gonna go ahead and bind the engine oil. I know where it's at, but let's go ahead and get this new engine oil in. So I don't know if you can see that, but this is what I was talking about. That's my engine oil spout there. That's where I have to put in the engine oil, hence why I need a funnel. So let's finish getting that cap off real quick. Always double check and make sure mine's still a little warm, so make sure that you take it off. See? I don't know if you can see down in there, but there is the engine oil. We're gonna stick the funnel down in there. Let's see if I can prop you guys up right here. Let's see. You'll be able to see the edge of the funnel there. So I'll try not to splash you guys as I pour the oil in. We're just going to do a little at a time. And here we go. That nice honey color, that is the sign of good clean oil. And I'm sorry if you guys can hear, it sounds like all of my neighbors are starting to cut the grass before it rains because some dark clouds have appeared. But right now we're gonna focus on that nice clean oil. Alright, now that all of the engine oil is in, we did 5.5 quarts. We're gonna come right over here to our little oil dipstick. We're gonna pull it out. And you can still see that it's kind of dirty, so we're gonna wipe that off, stick it back in, and pull it back out. Alright, so we replaced that dipstick, wiped it off, pulled it back out, and this is kind of what you want to see. You see a line here at my finger, and then there's another one here, and you can kind of see like a pattern in between. You want to make sure that that oil is right in that center. You don't want it too high, you don't want it too low. If it's too low, if it was like say under the line, then you can add more oil to it. If it's up here, you would probably have to take oil out. So you want it right in the middle in that sweet spot, which is what we've got. So we are good to go. All we have left to do now is reset the counter that tells you your battery, or excuse me, oil life, and we call this done. Then we can move on to the next task. One thing I also like to do when I do my oil changes is I like to make sure that I have plenty of windshield washer fluid, and this is the brand that I use. If you know anything about Rain-X, they do, once you like put it on your windshield or you use their windshield washer fluid, you get like the beads of water. So when it rains really bad, it just kind of beads up and then moves across your windshield, and it doesn't stick, and it gives you an ability to see clearer. So this is the type that I use. It's green. They do have different colors depending on where you're at, because I think they also have like a winter mix and whatnot. But down here in Florida, this is what we use. And so yeah, we're gonna pour some of this in, and then we'll finish up and clean up. Yes, that is what you think it is. That is the skeleton of a dead tree frog. I found it when I was putting my windshield washer fluid away. I don't know how long he's been in here. This is the problem with living in the country. And so I have a fun tip for you. Frogs do not like peppers. I'm talking like jalapeno peppers. So if you take and you rub jalapeno pepper all around here, you can actually create a barrier to keep them out of your car. Otherwise, they will turn out like this guy. Now back to your car maintenance video. So yeah, now that it says I have negative 422 miles, that means I went 422 miles over my actual, I need to change my oil. Now it's time to reset that. So we are gonna go over here on the settings, and we have to go vehicle, let's see, maintenance info. A1 is engine oil and tire rotation. We're gonna do the tire rotation as well, but we have this nifty little reset button, and it says, would you like to reset maintenance information? Reset. And now, when I look at the screen here, it's gonna tell me I have 100% oil life, because we just changed the oil. So now, let's see if we can do the tire rotation before it rains. Shall we? Now listen, if we're gonna do the tire rotation, we can't do it while she's still up on the ramps. So let's get her down so we can change the tires. Alright, in order to change or rotate the tires, you have to jack up the car. This tire is going to be moved forward, so both rear tires are going to be basically moved straight forward, and then the front tires are going to crisscross. So this tire is now going to be the driver's side rear, and the driver's side front is going to become the passenger side rear. Get my drift? I'll insert a diagram or a drawing clip here to better explain it, and then we'll get on with the process. Alright, so here's my little drawing. Sorry if I'm not an artist by any means. That's why I don't have a degree in drawing. So this is the best I can do. Think of it as this, you're looking at the car from the top. So we have the front end and the rear end. But basically what I'm saying for the tire rotation is that the back tires are going to move up. So it's going to go like this on both sides. And they're going to basically move up. And then the front tires are going to crisscross and go from front to back. Does that make it a little more easier? The back tires are going to move up to the fronts, and then each front tire is going to crisscross and go to the back. Now, back to our video. Another tip I'll give you when you're doing your oil change and your tire rotation, I always use my spare tire to get started. So I will pull this one off and put the spare tire on so that I could then basically move around the car. This tire is going to go up there, then we're going to take this tire to the other side of the car, and then that tire is going to move up, and then that tire is going to come back here. I don't know if you saw the previous clip where I drew everything out and explained it. You kind of get the sense of what we're doing, and now we're gonna get started. When you're rotating your tires, always know where your lug nuts are. You have to make sure that you know where your lug nuts are. Don't lose them. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to put the wheel back on the tire, or the tire back on the car, excuse me. So now we have all of the lug nuts off. As you can see, I have the tire, it's not really resting on my feet, but I can move it with my feet. That's how I get the tire off. Gives me a little bit of leverage, and we can move this tire now to go up there. And we will put the spare tire on, one so I can test, make sure it holds pressure, and to check the condition of it, and we will go from there. But there you go, all the lug nuts are off, and we need a battery change. So here's what the passenger side looks like. You can see I put my donut on the back. So then the tire that was there moved up here. Now we're in the home stretch because this tire here was back here. So just like I said, rear tires move forward. So this is the rear tire, and it's gonna go here. Then this tire is gonna crisscross, and it's gonna go to the passenger side rear. So this was my passenger side front. It's gonna go onto here, and then that was the tire that was here, and it's gonna go up front, and then that tire is gonna go on the other side where the spare tire is. So let's finish up because it's getting hot. I wanted to put in a little disclaimer. Ladies, if you don't like to get dirty, don't do car maintenance. This is what my hand looks like, and the camera makes it look clean. My hands are blacker than black. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got black soot all over my hands, both hands. So we're gonna get cleaned up when we're done. But let's finish those tires so we can get these hands clean. But ladies, if you don't like to get dirty, car maintenance is not for you. Well, there you have it, guys. She is done. We did the oil change, we did the tire rotation, and we added some windshield washer fluid. So her current maintenance is done. Now we just got to get her parked back inside the garage, and then we're gonna go get cleaned up. I even got dirt on my arms. So again, ladies, if you don't like to get dirty, don't do car maintenance. I do it because I like the sense of knowing that I can do it, and I like being able to do it. So that's why I do it. I also grew up with a father who was a mechanic, so he taught me all of the basics, and it's just a good sense of accomplishment. So with that being said, she's all done for the day. Time to go get cleaned up. Me, not her. We'll give her a bath on a different day. It's time for dinner.